So tonight I want to tell you a story of biblical proportions, the story of Adam and Eve. But before I tell that story, I want to make a little introduction. They say queens make kings. If we look at the kingdoms that are surrounding us right now in this world, we see planetary destruction. We see abuse of power. We see extreme materialism. We see destruction of the planet, the environment, nature, the trees. We're kind of heading into extinction. And if we really want to put it in the context of queens make kings, that means the kingdoms are a representation of our mothers and wives and sisters. And so if the state of the world has come to this, then I think there's this strong feminist movement and to battle what was created and accepted by women over generations and times. And therefore, we also can reach the conclusion that if there is a male dominance right now, that means the mother and the sister and the daughter have all nurtured it. Now, when we talk about the fall of humanity and intellectualism and mindfulness, I'll just kind of take it to where the state of the world is. Like, if you wanted to get married right now, whether you're a man or a woman, you're going to choose based on intellectual criteria. Religion, people that agree with your opinions, people that are agreeable by your family, by your religion, by your culture, by your society. And these are all intellectual decisions based on whose lineage does he come from, what money does he have, what assets does he own, etc. So if we created a self-destructive world based on materialism, then who has nurtured it? Now, Jordan Peterson speaks about the story of Adam and Eve in a very, very, very powerful way. He says, so we know the story that Eve gave the apple to Adam. That is the apple of knowledge, intellectualism. And what nobody knows next is that God appeared to Adam, and Adam had just eaten the apple. And God asks Adam, "Where are you? I can't see you." And he says, "God, I'm behind the tree." He says, "Why the hell are you behind the tree? Why are you hiding? You know I'm God, I can see everything." And he tells him, "I ate from the fruit that you banned me from." And God was angry and he said, "Why did you do it?" He said, "She made me do it." And the significance of this is super powerful, because first, that Adam was naked, and he realized he was hiding behind the tree because he was hiding his nakedness which God created him. And this is the first time human became self-conscious. Now, when we look at the story of evolution, so who set that self-consciousness? The woman. So what her role was is to actually set an evolutionary pathway where the woman is constantly the one who determines whose genes survive to the next generation. And at different times in history, those could have been very highly spiritual kind of beings or women. And there are plenty of women in history that have ruled out of values, out of God-given laws, and have produced amazing kings and kingdoms. However, let's look at the kingdoms around us. And when on an evolutionary level, if the woman is the one who sets the criteria and the standards and allows for which male to actually continue her lineage, right, by carrying his baby. So since she is the decision maker, so she is the one that will set the standards of what are the criteria needed for the man. So what is the consciousness level that she wants for her continuation and her children and her lineage. And therefore the standards are set by women. And what men end up doing is fitting into the standards of the women in order for them to continue their lineage, right? So when we get to a point where divorce is at its highest rates ever, that the selection and the criteria and the decision-making of marriage is intellectually driven and driven by materialism, and when we see that that materialism has consumed us to the point of extinction on a biblical level, when we see that people are being exterminated in refugee camps and we allow it, and then when we see people dying from poverty because there's not enough food, but the rulers are men, and we start wondering who are the queens in their lives. And recently there's been a lot of talk about how the feminine will rise, and that feminine is going to heal what men have destroyed. I think this is a bit wacko, because we are now expecting women to take charge of the destruction that they've created through the intellectual standards that they've set for their breeding and selection. So how are we exactly going to do that? Now, as per Rudolf Steiner, the second descendants of Christ will come in a feminine Christ consciousness. But, given the history that I just told you about and where we are in terms of humanity, in terms of disease, in terms of human rights violations, in terms of death and hunger and all of this, then does that feminine Christ consciousness mean we should hand over to the mothers and the sisters and the daughters that have created the morally bankrupt rulers of the world that we have? It's no. It's about the balance. It's about the divine union. But that divine union means that woman, that mother, that daughter, that wife is going to start having to replace her intellectual standards with more divine standards. And should understand that the masculine has throughout history been the warrior. And you might ask yourself the question, why aren't there any prophets who are women? Because women have always triggered the emotion. The ones who did the action were the men throughout history. They are the ones who were put on crosses. They are the ones who were put to death. They are the ones who brought in that consciousness and to change humanity. So while the woman has a very strong role to play in the recovery of the planet, unfortunately, it cannot be done in the same way that has produced the same people that are currently ruling the world, because they're the sons of someone, and and a woman, and their their wives, and it's happened. So therefore, this consciousness is going to be found within us all, within each and every one of us, because on a soul level, we're not male, we're not female. There's masculine energy and there's feminine energy, and when they take the human form, it decides to take a male or a female. And therefore, we have to all find that within us, to find the feminine Christ, which is the emotion of pain that we see from what is happening around us in this world. It's like, look at Mother Teresa. Like, she saw the pain, she saw the suffering, and she just went and did it herself. And she raised the consciousness of that region and the world, and people just like saw a face of God. Where is Mother Teresa? Why is everyone naked? Like, why is it that the standards for beauty and for is what you wear and where you work? It's no longer the ethics. It's no longer the divinity. It's no longer the laws of God, but the laws of the universe. Now, the moment we have a global system that has lost connection with God, run by men, and there's queens behind them. So what are the queens going to do? Are they going to keep feeding the same system that had led to our annihilation on a human level, on an ethical level? Or are we going to move into that heart consciousness, no matter where it's masculine or feminine, and step up to what we need to do on this planet? Because in the way it's going, the world is heading into hunger, into war, and it's a war of intellectualism and idea and sex. Whatever feminism is, one of those many ideas that are meant to create separation. So if we're going to have, a continuation in the Quran, it says, and I think in the Torah as well, and in the Bible, that the salvation of the planet will come in pairs, in twin flames. And these are souls that will find each other and complete each other. And when they do, they become a blessing for the world around them. So, on a historical level, the story of Adam and Eve, as explained by Jordan Peterson, is super significant and super powerful. Every woman needs to step up on the values, on a spiritual, on a moral level, because what's missing is morality. Like, I think everybody can agree on the moral side of things, and we need to start raising our children like on something different than SpongeBob, because SpongeBob, like COVID indoctrination, like passively, while we leave our children on their iPads, consuming what a global system has produced to kill your own children. And therefore, we are all responsible. But if the mother is the nurturer and the caregiver and the queen, and the first thing that the queen takes care of is her children.